My glasses, I think, are scratched. I can't barely see out of them.
Mm.
All right, guys. We are live. As you can see, I'm not alone tonight. We have Paul. Jason was thinking about coming on, but he's busy repairing his wife's car because she apparently ran it into the garage. I know. Anyhow, guys,
You never
let's get.
know.
Go ahead.
Maybe Nick will pop in. We never know, right?
He might pop in. We did send him the link to it, so he could pop in at any time if he wants to. All right. Let's take care of business as always. Hit that subscribe button if you have yet to hit that subscribe button. Hit the like while you're there, so we can have as many likes as we can during the show. Comment. You can comment live during the show, or if you're watching the replay, you can comment after the show, and we will gladly come in and answer your questions and comments later. And share it. Share this podcast with all your Hawkeye friends, because I don't have every Hawkeye guy out here. There's millions of us, and let's get this around the world to millions of people, and let's make these videos go viral. We're up to 320 something, I think, subscribers. We're looking for 400 and then 500, and we're just going to keep pushing. Okay. We try to give you guys good content. I try to do the best I can. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about Caitlin and the fever last night first to get it out of the way. And then we're going to talk about Caleb Brown's arrest. And then we got some commits over the weekend, a couple of O-line people. And we're going to talk about and preview our O-line for the season. And then we're just going to talk about our quarterback situation, who really is number 2. And then I'm going to talk about something else at the end that I'll save for you guys. A little controversial. Okay. All right. Jared's on board with us. Hi, Jared. We are glad to see you. I'm looking forward to the Paris Olympics. Just on a side note, how do you guys feel about what's the place in Indiana that are at? Lucas Oil Stadium, setting up a temporary pool up on the football field. That pool looked legit. I was watching the men's trials yesterday, and that pool looks legit. You can't tell that it's a temporary pool set up.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that looked legit. Okay.
It's amazing what they can do with these venues and how they can do that kind of stuff. But I mean, I guess they probably do like monster trucks and stuff in there too. So
Oh yeah. Those stadiums do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff. I guess Los Angeles has the 28 Summer Olympics, and so that's kind of cool. The only thing. Go ahead.
I think we're about to host the World Cup here too.
Are we gonna the women's or the men's?
I think it's the men's. Okay.
Yeah. Our women bowed out last time there was a World Cup. They bowed out too early. They had some old players that need to get rid of, and a coach who doesn't know how to coach. But anyway, that's not why we're here. Okay, first of all.
Well, I think that's a great segue if we're about to talk about the fever.
Yeah, that is because, as we know, Caitlin did not make the Olympic team. Although I saw a headline, I did not read it, that said that there's still a chance she could make the Olympic team.
Well, you just mentioned a coach that doesn't know how to coach, and I'm like, well, I guess we are going to talk fever right away.
Yeah. How did they blow a 15-point lead? Halfway through the third period, they are up 15 points, and you think they're on their way. All of a sudden, I don't know how many points they scored from that point until the end of the game. Caitlin doesn't take any shots, I don't think, in the fourth quarter. If she did, I'm not aware of it. 2. She took 2 shots and missed them both.
Yeah, I mean, but that's not even, to me, the issue at play here. While they had that 15-point lead, as it dwindled down, they had 4 possessions in a row where Caitlin should have had 4 straight assists.
Mm-hmm.
And her teammates just don't finish.
Right.
She, I clearly remember one where, she's throwing the ball up the court, 3/4 court pass, and I think it was Mitchell just let it go right off her hands and out of bounds. And It would have been an easy layup. All she has to do is catch a ball.
Yeah. So, well, there's another time I think it was Wallace who had a great drive to the hoop. She tried to get fancy and just chuck it up there from the other side of the basket. All she had to do was just dribble it and lay it in front. And I noticed that a lot of times her teammates do that. They try to get too fancy instead of just laying it in and actually lay it in, make an easy lay-in, because they miss down the stretch. They miss some easy shots. Granted, but you have to give credit to Angel Reese. She caught fire about halfway through that third period and put that game on her shoulders, and she just took over. She was not going to be defeated by Caitlin again.
Yeah, I mean, what she had, she had just lost with 3 or 4 in a row to her. If you go back to Iowa, yeah. She lost
3 in a row, two WNBAs and 1 in the playoffs or the tournament or whatever you want to call it. And so Jared wants to know if we think Caitlin's Rookie of the Year. Right now, the voting for the Rookie of the Year has Angel Reese in the lead, so probably not. Somehow Angels is picking up some supporters somewhere.
Well, I mean, she is getting a ton of doubles. And a lot of that is because she's not a great shooter, but she's able to corral her own rebounds. And so she eventually is accumulating points and rebounds that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So Boston last night, I mean, after she's caught fire for most of the season, cooled off in the fourth quarter and wasn't able to get much done with the ball. But although she did hit that 3-point shot, but you could tell there was a miscommunication there. She wasn't supposed to take that shot. She went to look, and I think Caitlin was supposed to be to her right to take the ball for the 3-pointer. And she had no choice. Time was running out. She had to shoot it, and she made it, fortunately.
Yeah.
But, she's not known as a 3-point shooter. Kelvin says, got to be fair. Iowa women blew 2 leads like that against Ohio State, and at Nebraska. Yes, they did. Very similar situations. But I think most people put those 2 losses on Caitlin because of how poorly she played down the stretch. But I think yesterday is not really Caitlin's fault. Her teammates just can't handle the passes that she's thrown to. And when they do handle it, they don't get the ball and score it. I mean, they were doing well for 2.5 quarters. They were doing well. Yeah. They were actually handling her balls. They were getting their shots, And, to their credit, Mitchell's been playing better, But we both know that Mitchell and Wheeler don't give up the ball when they get it,
neither does Nelissa Smith. I mean, for some of these ladies, the next pass they throw is going to be their first. It's like it's a black hole when the ball gets in their hands.
Right. Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, I know they all want to score, but it should be let's win for the team. Let's play as a team. If your shot's not there, stop creating a shot. When you're Mitchell at 5'9", 5'10", don't be dribbling that ball up against a 6'5" Angel Reese because she's going to stuff you every time, or Cardosa is going to stuff you every time. You're not going to get that ball in the net. I mean, even Caitlin got stuffed when she tried to do that. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Take the ball back outside and take an outside shot. And maybe if you hit enough outside shots, you pull those guys away from the basket, and then you can do some backdoor cuts or something.
Yeah. And apparently Chrissy Sides has never coached a team to pass the ball out of a good look to a better look, right? I mean, just because you have a good look, that extra pass sometimes can be the wide open shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't see them do that.
No. Llama wants to know who should fear losing their job more, John Buttmeyer or Christy Sides?
Oh, it's got to be sides.
I agree with you because Kirk is too much of a loyalist. He's
Yeah,
not gonna.
exactly.
Llama knows the answer to that one. He just wants to raise our ire and see what we're gonna say. All righty. Okay, so let's move on a little bit. We've covered the game
Well,
and
before
just
we
how. Okay, go ahead. Don't go ahead.
Before we leave the WNBA topic, I do want to say that I thought it was really cool. AJ Epinesa showing up at Kate Martin's game, how they went to high school together, exchanged jerseys and stuff. I thought that was pretty awesome.
That was cool. Until they showed that, did you know that they went to the same high school? I didn't know that.
I had no idea. I did not know Kate Martin was from Edwardsville.
Yeah. So that means that her dad coached AJ.
True.
Because he's a football coach, right? High school football coach.
I believe so, yeah.
Well, he's not on live. He can be if he wants to be because I sent you a link, Coach. But here you are, all on the coach. Why did they not keep Smith on Reese? And why did they switch from the pick and roll in the fourth quarter? It's just insane. Boston could have had 30 points with 10 assists. There you go. I think that's well sums it up right Absolutely. There. Okay, let's move on now. Let's talk about Caleb Brown's arrest for OWI and, quote, a fictitious ID. Okay, he crashed his car. I don't know what he crashed it into. It didn't say he crashed it into another car at 2:30 in the morning on Sunday. Did you see what Llama's comment down there is?
It's still Gabby. It's still Gabby.
Okay.
It's close. It's still Gabby.
Yeah, I didn't know that Kate had a girlfriend until today. I saw it on Instagram. I guess they call that a hard launch. I don't know what that means, but she hard launched on Instagram to tell the world.
I can't keep up with all the kids and their newfangled lingo and whatever, you know.
Okay. So Jared wants to know how many games do you think it's going to be? How many games do you think he'll miss, Brown?
I think probably just one. Honestly, I will say a lot of it will have to do with Caleb, right? If he's doing the things that he's supposed to do, you know, and I'm sure he's probably going to have to spend some hours at the children's hospital, things like that, doing things that. But I think if he, you know, if he sticks to the plan, maybe just a game.
Okay. Coach, he wants to know who Kate Martin's girlfriend is. Somebody named Claire. That's all I know. I don't know anything else about her. She's currently in Boston, is a former Iowa Hawkeye herself, but I don't know if that was basketball or a different sport. That's all I know. Don't really care to know more. So I was just wondering, since we haven't really started fall camp yet, and they're just doing pre-summer workouts, is there a possibility? Anyway, is there a possibility that Llama's got me thrown off beat? He's managed to. He's on fire tonight. But anyway, so is there any possibility that maybe he just does some community service, some in-practice punishments, and don't get any game suspension?
Yeah, I mean,
I think for him, I think the DUI was one thing, or the OWI is how it was listed, is one thing. But I think showing a fictitious ID is another thing.
I mean, I don't really know any of the details here. Hopefully, I would imagine, you know, Caleb will get an attorney. Maybe they can knock down some of these charges and whatever. So, yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Do you think if it had been anybody else, well, we wouldn't know about it publicly if it was anybody else, but do you think that the Iowa City Police Department is out to look for Hawkeyes, both football and basketball, because
I
they
don't
might
think
have
they're
a
having to look too hard if you're crashing your car into something. That's,
yeah, yeah,
so. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had my run-ins with the Iowa City PD, and they are some Barney Fifes at times. But
yeah,
I know you kids may not catch that reference, but uh,
yeah.
anyway,
Okay,
I
all right.
don't
So
think they target Iowa athletes. I just think, you get 18 to 20-year-old kids that do stupid stuff, and they all
yeah,
think they're invincible.
yeah. Oh, here's the crazy thing about it is he's a junior because as you heard, he's been officially reclassified from sophomore to junior. So he might be 21, but if he's showing a fake ID, he's probably only 20
I,
still.
I thought they said he was 20.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what he is. He must have a birthday coming up or something because usually if you're a junior, somewhere during your junior year, you're going to turn 21. Okay. Llama says it should have been done like they do at Michigan and Ohio State, sweep it under the rug. Okay.
Well,
Colleen apparently agrees with that one.
that's
Coach
just not how
says,
it is in the fishbowl that is Iowa City.
yeah. Coach, I did send you a link. If it's in your it's on Messenger if you want to try to get on. I'm with Paul. He probably only misses one. Okay. All right, Colleen. They told us we couldn't do beer bongs in the lot. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. This one's over my head. Okay, but coming from Colleen, that's quite funny because she's not usually like that. Oh, okay. Alrighty. Yep, their frontal lobe isn't developed yet. Tell my drag racing son that every day. Oh, okay. At their
At least
young
he's
age.
drag racing and not drag queening. So there's that.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. All right. Let's go back. So let's see where we at. All right. So over the weekend, we picked up some commits over that. We had that big recruiting weekend, and some people were predicting that we would get 4 to 5 commits out of that. So far, we've got 3. So we're right on schedule. One of them, it looked like they had predicted he was going to end up at K-State, but complete surprise, he ended up going to Iowa. He's a 4-star offensive tackle, Lucas Algier. Yeah. And so, anyhow, but he's got some history at the Hawkeyes. His cousin Nick played Hawkeye baseball.
There we
How
go.
long ago, I don't know. His uncle Ken played for Hayden Fry.
Nah.
Yeah. So he's got some history. Doesn't say what his position was with Hayden Fry.
Not exactly a gallery, but I like it.
Yeah, and the other thing is too is I believe Kelvin's still on here. He can confirm this, but he must have also played for Kirk. He must have got caught between Hayden Fry and Kirk because he said he was coached, played for Fry and coached by Kirk. So yeah, O-line and coach. Yeah, so he did. He must have been right there between the two guys.
Either that or it was from the 80s when Kirk was the O-line coach.
Oh, yeah. Good job, Paul. Yep. There we go. 1986 recruit. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay. So the guy probably, if the uncle can help out a little bit, let's hire the uncle to coach the O line. All right, we picked up another O line person in Cameron Heron. He's out of
Aaron.
Indiana. He's a 3-star.
Boy, I like him. I was watching his stuff earlier. That kid's nasty.
Is he?
In a good way.
I think I forgot to write down his stats, but I think he's like 300 pounds or something.
I thought I saw that he was about 280.
Okay,
but
maybe
he's a lean 280.
Okay, yeah,
and,
yeah.
I mean, I saw some again highlights. So, but take it for what. And you don't necessarily know the level of kids he was going against, but there were times there I saw one where he took his kid, across the ball. Literally took him about 20 yards down the field and then just drove him into the ground 20 yards down the field. I was like, dang.
Yeah, no, and she's right. So let me continue talking about before we get to the O line. So let's just, Calvin pointed out that that the uncle played on the O line and Kirk coached him, and he was a 1986 recruit. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So CJ Bell, a cornerback, 6'1", 168. I gotta believe at that weight, he ain't playing this first year he comes in. I guess he's a 2025 recruit, so he'll be playing another year at senior.
Gotcha.
So Heron's going to start out at center, Calvin says, and honestly, Calvin knows his stuff. If Calvin said it, it's probably true because he does a lot of research.
Is he related to Anthony
Heron Fisher?
Anthony Heron.
Oh, that's a good question. Calvin, do you know the answer to that? Anthony Heron. Is it spelled the same?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just curious. I mean, it would make sense if he was a legacy recruit.
Yeah, it would. We're getting a lot of legacy recruits lately. Have you noticed that? Calvin doesn't know the answer to that question. Okay. So we got that covered, the cornerback. He's a 3-star. So those are the 3 we got out of the weekend. There should be 1 or 2 more coming out from that weekend. So hopefully, they were saying, some of the experts were saying that we should know by July 1st how this weekend actually did. Okay, Anthony was from Bolingbrook, I think. Is that Illinois?
Sounds right. But I think Anthony works for the Big Ten Network now. So, I don't know if it would make sense if they lived in Chicago or Indianapolis or somewhere.
If he works for the Big Ten Network, he might live in Chicago.
Well, he did work for the Big Ten Network, but now I think he might work for like CBS.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Who else? We've had a couple of other of our football players who worked for the Big Ten Network who are no longer doing that. I don't know what the reasons behind that is. Chuck Long, for one, was working for him, and I'm trying to think of the other one.
Paul Burmeister, maybe? I don't know if he
Paul Burmeister is strictly NFL Network now.
Okay.
Yeah. People were wanting him to take Dolph's place, but they don't understand. He's a play-by-play guy. He's not a color analyst, and I'm sure he is a former player, so he would probably make a decent color analyst. But Paul Burmeister's into play-by-play, which is so maybe he replaces Dolphin, not Dolphin. He replaces Dolphin, and the other one, of course. Help me out. My name is slipping.
Pat Anger?
No. Pat Anger. Who did you replace? I forget I'm so embarrassed that my name is.
Oh,
Podolak, Eddie Podolak. Yeah. Danon Hughes does BTN baseball. Yeah, he does.
That's right.
He does. He was a good. I think he played baseball for Iowa as well as football.
True.
Okay. All right. So, anyway, let's say when we got Lucas, he beat out some pretty good teams. K-State, Nebraska, Northwestern, Washington, Ole Miss, Iowa State, Miami, Michigan State. So not bad job, Iowa. You went in there and you took some people away, and so and he is an O-line tackle, so maybe Barnett's pretty good at recruiting because he did steal that guy. I mean, not really steal him, but he had some quality people looking at him.
Well, and I think they do recruiting by geographic area, so he may not.
That's right. Barnett might not actually recruit that area.
Jess Settles does Iowa men's basketball calling.
Does he do it anymore? Because I haven't recalled his name on a game for a while.
He usually does like those BTN Plus games, like the early season, against Camel Toe or whoever we're playing.
Jess Settles would be a good replacement for Bobby Hansen when Bobby Hansen decides to call it good because, honestly, Dolph's going to probably call it in a year or two. He did tell everybody, though, until Pat Anger gets the hang of it, he ain't leaving him high and dry. He's not going to have him be broken by a new play-by-play guy. He's going to break him in himself, and then he'll leave.
Yeah.
So we're probably talking maybe 2 years at the most right now. This season and next, probably.
Yeah. I don't really listen to those broadcasts anyway down here in Florida. So, I'm usually stuck with whoever's on the TV.
Yeah, that's me too. Being out here in California, because it would be nice to turn down the sound on the TV and listen to our own Iowa play-by-play guys. But unfortunately, my TV's delayed. I already know if it's a touchdown, a play ahead of time.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're still in the huddle, and Dolphins going, Iowa, touchdown, Iowa. And I'm going, okay, well, at least I know what's coming on the next play.
Right.
Yeah. And so wrapping that up, okay. So I kind of wanted to, oh, yeah, and I guess you guys all know about Cade being fully cleared to work out to work out fully now. He can work out. He's physically okay to work out. And anybody who's seen that clip of him bouncing around on one knee looks like to me like he's ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Well,
why don't I pause the radio? I don't. So what do I pause it for a play and then start it up? I could do that. It's because
I don't get Iowa radio out here either.
I don't get Iowa radio either. I have to use the YouTube version. So I'd have to have I'd put the YouTube version on my phone and then turn on YouTube TV on my TV to watch the game.
It's hard enough. Like we're in group chats and stuff, and sometimes like one of us could be well ahead of somebody else, and somebody's dropping stuff in the chat that I hadn't even seen yet. Like, oh,
yeah. Well, I think we all remember. I don't know if Coach is still watching, but I think we remember when Coach started out doing live games, and we were discussing it, and everybody was ahead of Coach on that one. He was so far behind. I mean, even my delay was ahead of his delay.
What do we have next on the agenda?
Okay, so we're going to move on, and I want to talk a little bit about our current O-line situation.
Oh, boy.
Okay? We got a lot of O-line people that here are the guys that have had plenty of experience. You know them all anyway. Michael Malinsky, Nick Dijon, Logan Jones, Jennings Dunker, Connor Colby, Tyler Ellsbury, Mason Richmond, and then this guy we're getting him from North Dakota, Cade Baroud.
Okay.
So those are only 8 guys, though. All right. We need 5 starters, and we usually have 5 backups, right? And then backups to the backups. So out of that, there's a lot of people who got a little bit of playing time, but not too much. But 2 guys who were redshirt freshmen this year actually got some playing time last year, but they didn't play in their allotted more than they're allotted 4 games. Cade Piper and Trevor
Lauk, yeah.
So maybe they're the other 2 guys, but I guess it depends on if they're a tackle or a guard or a center, because I think Tyler Ellsbury is our backup center, but he also plays some guard, I believe.
Mhm.
So, well, we're talking about the O line. I'll come back to that one, Colleen. I mean, our kicker. Yeah, I'll come back to that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be real interesting to me, with our new offensive coordinator. We're going to be running out of different formations and doing a lot of different things. I'm hoping that this is going to actually help out the O-line coaching, because it's just quite possible that we've kind of gone away from some of the zones, the zone blocking that we have been doing, and maybe some of the techniques that our current O-line coach likes to use will fit better with the plays and the schemes that we're going to be employing. That's my hope. The eternal optimist that I am.
Yeah, I get it. My question to you is if Barnett's line doesn't improve this year, because all these guys are 3, 4, and one guy's a 5-year linemen. They've all got starting time over the last several parts of their career. A lot of them played in almost every game over their careers, except the ones that were injured. But every game they were healthy, they played. My question is if Barnett's team doesn't come through this year after 3 years at the helm, I mean, is this his 4th year? Will this be his 4th year at the O-line? Or did he have 3 years? He's either 3 or 4 years. Okay. Does he get fired? Does Kirk say, I've seen enough, you're my good buddy, we've had cold pizza together, but it's time for you to go?
I don't know that the O-line play has been that bad. I mean, the quarterback play has been that bad. The wide receiver play maybe has been that bad. At times, the running back play has been that bad, but it's also, had some real bright spots. But the tight end play has been very good, which I know is not, on the O-line coach. But I've seen, good blocking. I've seen good protection, and I've seen quarterbacks not hit football, not be able to feel the pressure, not have a 7-second release. As it goes, do I think that no line could play better? But I wouldn't be at all surprised if this year's offensive line, if they all go pro, might have 2 or 3 guys drafted.
Yeah. Okay. Well, but I get that, and I do go along with some of that quarterback play last year, because Hill took way too long to get rid of the ball. I mean, these guys aren't expected to hold those blocks that long, and you have to get that ball out quickly. I think that's something Cade will help. He'll get it out a lot quicker than Hill ever did.
And if you're not really a threat to throw the football, you've got 22 eyes looking at the running backs.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not a threat to beat the blitz or punish a team for blitzing, then you're asking 5 guys to block 6, 7, 8 guys. And then if you're not successful on early downs and staying ahead of the chains, next thing you know, you're trying to pass in obvious pass situations, which is what the Iowa defense is all about, right? They stop the run, and they force you into predictable situations, force you to be patient and whatever. Yeah.
So what do you think about the situation where Kirk said, and I don't remember when he said it at a press conference, that the defense needs to get better at getting off the field instead of driving out drives? Basically, he was blaming the defense for some of their issues last year because they weren't getting off the field. But when you go 3 and out and punt every time, you know, you got that defense on the field forever because they're having to play more minutes than they really should. Plus, and so by the end of the game, by the time they get to the fourth quarter, these guys are gassed.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you had a stupid game plan that's 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Let our punter put the ball deep in their territory.
Yeah. And, you know, on top of that, a big part of the Iowa defense, to some extent, has to be that the other team's offense feels pressured to score. And, you know, the good teams we played last year, they didn't have to worry a whole lot. You know, if we can get 7, 10, 14 points, that's probably going to be enough. And so now, you know, they're not having to take risks, and you know, they're not having to throw the ball in places that you know could pick it off or something like that.
Oh no, you're absolutely true because without no offense, these other teams didn't have to worry about taking risks, which is why I believe our interception totals and stuff were down last year because our takeaways, because the other teams weren't taking the risk. They didn't have to.
Correct.
You know, they knew they didn't have to score a ton of points to beat us. Yeah. So I know that the O-line, they weren't all injured at the same time last year, but based on the numbers that I'm getting from some of the O-line people, a lot of them did not play in all the games last year. But I think it was not a big deal as, oh, that's an excuse. You know, our O-line was injured. Yeah. And so I don't think they put that out there as an excuse because they never do. It's next man in. Yeah. But there were several that took turns being injured, including our center Logan. Although he did play in 13 of our 14 games last year. So
and don't forget our top 2 tight ends, right? Eric Hall and
because those guys also act as O-line guys too when they're not going out for passes.
Correct.
You know, and they usually got to get their block and break off that block and then run around. Although I will say, for as bad as Hill was last year, he did manage to find our tight ends okay. So there must be some, you know, whatever they're doing with the tight ends, they might want to try with the wide receivers. Or maybe it's just we didn't have good wide receiver.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah. See, Colleen says Kirk needs to direct that to his son. Defense had no choice. They were gassed. And that's what I'm saying is the defense started out playing well. I mean, if you remember right, I think in all 3 of those blowouts that we had, we were in the game early. And if it hadn't been for some of our own stupid mistakes, we might have actually scored early in both those games and maybe switched the narrative of that game a little bit, of those games.
I might be skipping ahead here. I was reading Llama's next comment. I mean, I think a lot of times people are just wishful, right? That it's always coaching, right? Well, it's bad coaching. You know, the O-line play isn't good because it's bad coaching. The offense was bad last year. It was bad coaching. Well, the hope there is that you can replace one guy and all of a sudden, you know, everything's just going to gel and get better. Because, you know, what you really have is a talent issue or deficiencies, you know, player deficiencies. And nobody wants to say, well, these kids aren't any good, right? They're all Hawkeyes and we all want to be there. You know, the next, you know, the next Robert Gallery on the offensive line, the next Dallas Clark at tight end, or the next, you know, Chuck Long at quarterback. And then when they're not, well, it's coaching. It's always coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, thinking of the future, you know, here's some guys, and I think Hack is still on. So, here's some guys that are future O-liners, and they might get to see some playing time. You know, like I said, I think Cade Piper plays. a little bit, and Trevor Lack plays. But what about Kale Winter, Cannon Leonard, Josh Derwanski, Jeremy Chaplin, Leighton Jones? Is he in relation to Logan Jones?
Yeah,
Cody Fox.
I have
Did
no
you say?
idea. I,
Okay. Cody Fox, Bodie McCausland, and Will Nolan. These are all freshmen or redshirt freshmen. I wonder if any of these guys, if anybody knows anything about them, will they be able to break into the lineup this year and be the next man in?
yeah. Well, you know what? If they will, then that starts now, right? With these
Yeah.
summer workouts, and
Hmm.
are they
Yeah.
putting on good weight and things like that? So
Yeah. Some of these guys look pretty good size. I can see a 6'6" guy who's at 290. Is he too lean, or does he need to beef up a little more at 6'6"? You
yeah,
know, got 6'3" guys, 6'5" guys. We've got one. I'm pretty sure he's not going to play this year because I think he's listed at 6'3", 255. Cannon Leonard. He probably needs to spend a year getting beefed up in the weight room.
well, some of those weights are not up to date, right? So
Right. Yeah. I just took from what our the official roster had, and this is what the official roster listed him at. But the official roster listed a was it a receiver or running back?
yeah.
That I was doing one of my stories on at 180, and his coach was said on a podcast that he was actually 200. Okay, so I'm just saying we used to develop, but now it seems like we have assistants and key coordinators just collecting checks. Maybe that's why we lost a huge recruit for the O line from Cedar Rapids. He's talking about Nick Brooks, who didn't take his official visit this weekend, who was supposed to at Iowa. The thing is I've already told Lama this, and this is the narrative that I'm going with, is that he's originally from Georgia. He did move to Iowa to be closer to Iowa and family so that he could be close to the Hawkeyes when he committed. But um oh, Leonard is 6'9". I must have wrote that down wrong, Calvin. Sorry about that. I must have been looking at the other person on there. So anyway, 6'9". God, that's a big
6'9". He needs to be playing for Fran.
yeah. and I'm sure he's got some weight on him at 6'9", right?
Right?
Frank could use a guy. I wonder if this guy's got any basketball experience. That's another story. We're going to do basketball later. We're going to talk about and preview the basketball, both the women's and the men, at another time. But yeah. Okay. So what was I at? Oh, I don't even know what my train of thought was.
No, I mean we were talking about O-line, but
Yeah. So I don't know what my train of thought was. If somebody remembers what I said before I got interrupted myself with the 6'9" thing. I know what it was. Yeah.
Nick Brooks.
He's originally from Georgia, and so I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. But at the time he committed to Iowa, did he actually have a Georgia offer, and did they offer later? Because that'd be like a Hawkeye wanting to stay home and play for his Iowa Hawkeyes. I mean, we know Cade Proctor didn't do that, but I could see a situation if he grew up in Georgia, he's probably a Georgia Bulldog fan, and he finally gets he's not committed to them yet, but he finally gets an offer, so he decommits from Iowa so that he can take a little longer look at Georgia and see what he can do and see if he's going to get some playing time and a bag of money and then keep Iowa on his short list. What's that?
The bags are a little heavier in Athens.
Yeah, yeah, a lot heavier than Iowa's.
And that kind of can tip the scales, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, yeah. I mean, he hasn't officially signed with them yet or committed to them, but I wouldn't surprise me in the next day or two we see that he committed. Coach at Georgia probably said, "Don't go to Iowa. They're just going to give you a bunch of bull crap and not, you know what I mean. You know how coaches badmouth all the programs. They don't say anything nice about the other programs." You know, it's too bad that these kids don't see through that, but their parents should. You know,
right.
and I certainly appreciate AJ's little brother. I don't know how to say his name. Use.
Yosei? Yeah, I think
Osei. Yeah,
Yosei.
that's good. Osei. Anyway,
Yosei.
I sure appreciate AJ. Not AJ, but his dad, Epi, just really praising Iowa up and down. Do I think we're going to get Osei? No, I think he's going to either Miami or Missouri. I
Wow.
mean, yeah, I don't think we're going to get him. I really don't. I hope I'm wrong. I really do, because we could use another good edge rusher, and I think he's an edge rusher. I think he could do that. So, Colleen says we'll be watching the Iowa women again. I think they're going to be a pretty solid team this year. Just as long as we're brought it up, I'm just going to say right now, Ava Hayden takes over the center spot as a freshman. That moves Stolke to the 4. I believe Falter plays the 3. Taylor plays the 2. And, of course, Lucy Olson's already got the number 1 wrapped up. But I think Taylor is more talented than Kylie. A lot of people think it's, but a lot of people do say that number 2 spot comes down to Kylie and Taylor. But I feel like Taylor she's been limited her 2 years at Iowa on what they were allowing her to do. She was the 3-point specialist. They just wanted her to come in and hit 3-pointers. This year, they're going to allow her to do some dribble drives to the hoop and do some 2-pointers, which she said is very good, because she said on the podcast I listened to that she was actually better at that than she was at the 3-pointers. And she's just been held back these last 2 years, but she's glad that she's going to be allowed to do that. And she said she can get to the hoop. She can drive to the hoop and score. So I think that's what you need out of your number 2.
Yeah.
And I think so. She might not be as good as defender as Gabby. I don't even know. Gabby was playing the 3 or the 2. I'm not even sure now. With that team, you never knew who was playing what. At one time, I would play with 4 guards and Stolke, and that's what we started with, 4 guards and Stolke. And I feel bad for AJ Edinger and Jada. I can't see what her last name is. Jada and Addison O'Grady, because I think they're just going to fill backup roles again at the center. I think this Ava Hayden looks like the real deal. She looks like she's ready to go.
That's great.
I don't know if you've seen her in team pictures, but she just stands way out. She's a lot taller and she's a lot wider than any other girl on that team. Somebody said they kind of compared her to Megan Gustafson a little bit.
Yeah, and she's going to get that Jan Jensen coaching. So
yeah.
I mean, they all are, of course, but
yeah. Okay, here we go. Llama's he did a little research for us. Georgia offered Nick Brooks on 11-5-22. Iowa offered on 4-4-23. Sorry, Dino. Your narrative is incorrect. Maybe it comes down to a bad O-line coordinator at Iowa that doesn't fear for losing his job. It is kind of sad, though, when you think about Barnett had a chance to keep 2 5-star O-line people here, and he wasn't able to keep either one of them, here, or committed to Iowa. And really, I'm kind of glad that Proctor's gone, because it sounds like he wasn't fitting in with the team anyway. And,
if you're, and I get X, right? X is a little different, but if you've got an opportunity to go play for Alabama or Georgia, that's awfully tough to pass up. And that money's good.
It is. It is. It is. But at the same time, why can't Iowa, when they're recruiting, why can't they convince these guys, hey, you're going to be part of something special? You're going to be part of a better O-line than we've ever had that's going to carry us to the playoffs,
Or I can go to Georgia, where they, won 2 national championships in a row, and I'm going to play in the SEC, and whatever, right? The selling point of, hey, come here and you can maybe be part of something special, or go to Georgia where you're likely going to be part of
Yeah.
something.
Well, look at this. Iowa State. I mean, we know that they're even on their current coach, Campbell, they've only had one really, really good season, but they've had so-so seasons and a couple losing seasons under Campbell. But yet he's able to get the recruits in right now. He's got some talent. I would say in the offense, they've got better skilled position players than we do. They got a better running back. They got a better wide receiver. They got a better tight end. They got a better quarterback.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
and
and Campbell always seems to manage to get those guys. Why?
Maybe because that's he's selling what he has to sell, and he sells it maybe a little bit better, a little bit differently than Iowa does. I mean, whether it's AJ Epinesa or X or any of the other highly rated guys that Iowa has brought in, that Kirk will tell you, hey, great, you're you only have 5 stars next to your name until you arrive on campus, and then you're not a 5-star recruit. You're a guy fighting for your spot. So
okay, yeah, Llama's pretty much behaving himself tonight. He's really throwing in some good stuff out there. But yet Nebraska Whiskey and Notre Dame can still land and steal recruits from power SEC schools. Comes down to coaches and who's hungry and who's on a free ride. Yeah. Okay. Just in case people aren't aware of it, Llama is a little down on Kirk right now. He thinks Kirk's taking the easy way out. Just so you guys know. And I'm not afraid to say that for him. So it's just that he thinks Kirk could do better. That Kirk's kind of just resting on his laurels for the last couple years. Okay. Did Lammer blame Bluter and Jensen when Stokes, Jones, and others from Iowa went elsewhere until Clark? We never got the top players. I don't know why we didn't go after Stokes. Did they actually go after Stokes? I do not know. I do know that they didn't go after either Jones girl. They did not recruit because she didn't fit in with the Iowa culture and the Iowa narrative, and they didn't want to bring the dad into that. And he ended up getting banned from Carver Hawkeye.
There you go.
I mean, Iowa State put up with him, but okay. Look at our recruits in the okay, wait a minute. Here we go. Alrighty. Look at our recruits and lack of use in the portal. Western Pennsylvania mindset. Iowa football in the top 13 winningest programs in the last 10 years. Okay, you can't deny the 10-win seasons, the couple 11 and 12 seasons we've had.
True.
That happened. But what you can't also deny is that every one of those great seasons ended on 2 losses. Usually a Big Ten championship game and a bowl game. We did not perform well. This is a good segue for me to say this. Why can't Iowa football? We haven't won an outright Big Ten title for a while now. I don't remember the last time we won it outright. I think it was probably before we had the playoffs, or the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, an outright title, I think you have to go back to like 58 or 59.
Are you saying that all the titles that we had and went to the Rose Bowl and Orange Bowl as Big Ten champions, we were co-champions?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So here's my narrative on this. Now we got a 12-team playoff. All right. I appreciate the fact that when Kirk came here, he turned this program around, and we have won several 10-win seasons or plus 10-win seasons. But they're not producing any championship teams out of it. I think it's time for Iowa to go to the next level and start getting into the playoffs. All right? I mean, there are people who think they have a shot at the playoffs, but remember, there are There's an Oregon team, Ohio State team, Michigan, Penn State. All those teams are ahead of us in the pecking order in the Big Ten right now. And look at this. Nebraska has a super easy schedule. They're going to win 8 to 9 games this year easily. I mean, their schedule couldn't be. They don't really run into anybody who's playing ball right now really good. Fast food outdoor. Okay. All right. Lisa's never won an outright title. Okay. But you're comparing apples and oranges because she wins in the she wins the tournament, her tournament basketball. All right. She does. I mean, what is she, three-peat right now on a current three-peat run in the Big Ten tournament? Okay. So she win the tournament, and unlike the men's basketball team, they get way far in the except for the 1 year where they lost in the round of 32 in an upset to Creighton in Caitlin's second year. They're usually a Sweet 16 team or better. So I think what she's done with that team is great. And she didn't win a national title, but she was in the last 2 national title games. So I think we're comparing apples and oranges because Kirk hasn't never made the playoffs. He's never won a Big Ten championship game. And, the closest we came was that Michigan State loss. I mean, and it has to be the longest drive ever in the fourth quarter. Okay. Fast food, you're going to have to talk to me about what Nebraska tried. You said Nebraska tried that. I'm trying to think of what I said or what Paul said to do that. Okay. All right. Bingo, bango, bongo. Until baby boomers quit thinking second-tier Florida's bowls are great. We are better than 60s and 70s Iowa football. The boomers holding Iowa back. So it starts with our head coach, he says. Keep in mind, guys, he's not going to be our head coach much longer. I honestly predict if he gets to the playoffs this year, he's done after this year. That's my prediction.
Yeah, none of us saw Bluter retiring. That kind of came somewhere. So
no, that was probably the greatest secret ever. Yeah, she went on vacation with her husband. But I kind of was watching some of those when she talked to the team after their championship game. She looked worn and tired. You kept wondering, she's about ready to call it quits. Maybe not this season, but maybe in another season or two, she's done. You could tell, and I think she wants to be able to attend all of her son's games. Because this is his last season of ball. And people who are thinking that she's in line to take the Fever head coaching job, that's not why she retired, guys. She didn't retire to take another job. She retired because she wanted to do things with her family. She wants to do things with her husband. She wants to watch her son play basketball. If she becomes the next Fever coach, she can't do that. And she's actually still going to be an advisor to Iowa.
Right.
When she can. I mean, Jan Jensen and her are best buddies forever. And I like the story of how she told them she came back from vacation, brought 2 cups of coffee for her. Oh, no, 3 cups of coffee. One for her, one for Jan, and one for what's the other one that quit? Can't think of her name, but her three besties. And told them the news that day. And I did not know this, but Taylor said that Jen. That's the other coaches. She actually tried to quit last year, and the team talked her into it, staying. And so that's a secret no one knew.
Right.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Yes, Jenny. Okay. Praise the Lord. Okay. She wasn't greedy and just wants to enjoy her day old cold pizza. Did you think it was funny that Kirk, when he talked about Bluter's quitting, that him and his wife and Bluter and her husband did a lot of double dates together? I wonder what some of the conversations were. How does there's another thing too. How do 2 well-known figures that popular in the state actually get to go out to eat in peace.
Reservations, private restaurant type
Yeah.
places.
Wow. Okay.
We're probably about ready to put a wrap on this. I think
Yeah, I think we're close to it. Yeah, we've reached the hour mark, and I pretty much covered everything I wanted to say today. I think some of it was a little controversial, but hey, Paul, I thank you for being on here and
it's always
just
good
adding to it. I think these guys really like to hear from you. I think you saw that a couple of them were right on with you, and so. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so yeah. Llama, I'm gonna explain that one to you later.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's time to go, but before I do, if you made it this far, before you hang up, enjoy hit the like button. Oh, one person got away before I could get them to hit the like button. Hit the like button, guys, before you leave, before we sign off. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We love subscriptions. Come back and comment when it's if you're watching on replay. Do leave a comment. I always find your comments and come back, and I really enjoy it. So I think this has been good for us today. Thank you, Paul. Hopefully, with next show we can get Jason on and we can cover some of the other stuff we've been talking about that you want to get covered. And but I just felt like we'll leave it to Jason to talk about it. He's the coach.
He's the coach.
All right. Thanks, Paul. I appreciate it. I'm out of here, guys.
Go Hawks, everybody.
Yeah.